Welcome, Bless Unleashed adventurers. Once again here at Mom's Basement, I'm your host like always, DirtyHotte. And in this video today I want to talk to you a little bit about the latest Crusader changes, the buffs to all the blessings, where the blessings stand right now in my opinion, and where they stand in a very objective way, damage-wise. Because for this video I tested all the blessings and I rated all the blessings. So for my Blessed Unleashed Crusaders, this video is for you. Stay tuned. Today we're talking about all Crusader Blessings regarding the game build 1.1.0. So that's the latest build of Bless Unleashed, which went live October 28th, so just a few days ago, which gave me the opportunity to test all the blessings. And I've used a pretty complex method we will talk about a little bit later. But first, let's go over the blessings one by one. And now they are in the order. Sorry for that. Now they are in the order where I would say from the weakest to the strongest, if we can say it like that. If that description is true, we will see in a few minutes when we talk about the blessings a little bit more in depth. But let's start with the first one. So the Mark of the Wolf blessing. So I guess you all know the passives: Fang of the Wolf, Howl of the Wolf, Razor Claw, Wolf Soul. All passives shown here are with the max stats, okay? When you maxed out the blessing, that is, so Bleeding Chains 85% for example, that's when you maxed the blessing. So here in green, one of the first buffs, the damage of the regular bleeds has been doubled with this update, which is nice. We talked about that one here on YouTube and on my Twitch as well a little bit before, that I think double the bleed damage might help Mark of the Wolf, and here we go with double the bleed damage. Another buff was that excessive bleeding damage was buffed by 6.5 times than it was before, so now it might actually be worth it running Wolf with the War Chains. But we will see that in just a minute. The next blessing is the Lionheart blessing. So in green, as with the Mark of the Wolf blessing, you see the buffs. So the shout damage attack power bonus was upped to 448% with this patch, so a nice little buff here as well. The shouts increase damage of Warcry, the Great Slash and the Spinning Slash combo. So that's basically I think left click, right click, left, or something like that. So that combo line with Warcry was buffed. So now it does a 144% additional damage. So another nice buff for Lionheart in that passive as well. For the overwhelming defense, there haven't been any buffs there. That stays at 100%. And Powerful Cry also stays the same. So that are the buffs for Lionheart. And then we have the well-known Valor Crusader. There's one little change. You could say a buff, or just a little change. So Blaze of Glory now benefits from Brave Assault and Eternal Warrior, because you can see it here on those passives. It was changed from charge type skills, the description, to strike type skills. And the Crusaders, both charges or mobility skills, what I like to call them, also changed to strike skills. So they are now strike skills. And Blaze of Glory is a strike skill as well. So Blaze of Glory also benefits from Brave Assault and the Eternal Warrior right now. Testing shows that the ideal damage output can be achieved by running Blaze of Glory with a Dauntless Charge. Was it Dauntless Charge? I think it's Dauntless Charge. Dauntless Charge has priority, and then when you have a cooldown or a filler, you can use Blaze of Glory, which will give a nice little damage buff to the overall Valor damage. And then we have another one of the Crusaders' favorites, Crescent Moon. Yeah, today we're gonna try to find a solution for the old discussion, which one is better, Valor or Crescent Moon. So Crescent Moon didn't receive a buff really, so as you can see all the passives stayed the same, no green there. there's a little confusion, a little discussion ongoing, where I'm not sure about what is right. So the opinion right now is that head-to-head effect, so the debuff was buffed, that you now and your party does 15% more damage to the marked target, or to the target that is under the head-to-head effect. So this is true. That basically is true with the 15% more damage. I'm just not sure when that happened, because I tested it before the patch, like 1 or 2 weeks before, and it was already 15% during my tests. So I don't know when exactly that changed. It might have been 15%, then 10, and now 15% again, and I just missed the 10% window. So that's that. Here you can see all the Crusader Blessings right now. They are in the order where I would see them weakest to strongest. And now let's have a little summary, or let's have some facts, some figures. So I did some testing. I tried to explain briefly here what I did. So I tried to find out basically the base damage and the best rotation for each. Just filming it, removing all the crit damage, so we get a clean picture. And then I basically had a 1 minute rotation on the dummy and put that one into the Excel sheet. And I really tried to make a calculation if your blessing for that, if the blessing you want to test is maxed out, the skills are maxed out, and you would run an ideal rotation. So that's why I use the Excel sheet, because basically, and the perfect rotation is impossible to do for me, because at my age that's hard to do. And if stuff like that is hard to do for you as well, and you like the cheat sheets and objective testing stuff and my content overall, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified for casual MMORPG content, especially for Bless Unleashed and Destiny 2. Much appreciated. Help the channel grow, baby. So, with that out of the way, so what I try to say is that I try to come up with as objective testing as possible for all the blessings maxed out, and that's also why I don't want to give you like clear numbers, but percentages. Objective rotation, objective damage, simulated by an Excel sheet. So it simulates 100% uptime, always pushing the right buttons and going with that perfect rotation, which is humanly impossible, at least for me. So let's see the results. The top damage, the top dog right now with version 1.1 for Crusader Blessings is Crescent Moon. And that's a fact, Valor fanboys. If we are talking about 100% uptime, that's a fact. Crescent Moon does more damage if you have the same gear for everything and the same rotation, or let's say the ideal rotation for each of your blessings. Yeah, and now the sad truth. Mark of the Wolf with 60.26% damage in regards of the Crescent Moon damage. So it's a bit over 50%, which might look more dramatic than it actually is, because I was talking about 100% uptime with those blessings. So if you have bosses where you have like a 50% uptime, or maybe even less as a melee, that's something where Mark of the Wolf can be interesting. And I have to test Mark of the Wolf in PvP as well to see if the blessing is maxed, if that helps spreading the dot on your enemies, or if it just doesn't do enough damage in PvP as well. Then we come to Lionheart. Lionheart with counter attack, so that we proc the overwhelming defense. That's at 73.2% in regards of Crescent Moon, so a little bit more damage than Mark of the Wolf. Actually, the problem was I'm not. Lionheart is the only one where I'm not 100% convinced of the testing, because we have this 66% chance of reactivating. So that's also the RNG that comes into that one. So it could be a little bit higher, okay? But for my testing, it was 73.2% of the Crescent Moon damage. Then, next up, Valor. I mean, now it gets interesting. We have the Valor fanboys always saying Valor does more damage than Crescent Moon. I was also one of them. But I admit I have been wrong in the past. So, Valor, right now, game build 1.1 does 86.2% of the Crescent Moon maximum damage. And while that might look like it's about 15% lower in the damage output, always remember, Valor still has the bonus that it's more like an on-demand single target burst damage or on-demand burst damage with quite a high uptime. So that's actually a plus for some boss fights, okay? So I guess my old testing result in words stands true. Crescent Moon is the top damage blessing with 100% uptime, and when you have like a more even damage output, and if you don't have 100% uptime but need high burst damage, I think Valor is still competitive. They are pretty much on the same level, and it just depends on your personal preference what playstyle you prefer. With that said, here comes another information, because that was a simulated, let's say simulated rotation. So the perfect rotation, which is kind of humanly impossible, at least for me. So this one was with the charge skill. Okay, so basically Twin Slash, Carve a Path, and the one where you jump on the mob, I just forgot the name, and the Furious Warcry shout for the attack power buff. If you switch out the charge skill, which is now strike skill, if you switch that out for counter attack and really have your counter attack on point, so and somebody attacks you always at the right time, this damage can get even higher, and that's here. With a perfect counter attack skill, so perfect counter attack rotation, you add even 19% on top of that damage. So it's 119% damage, and then it's really the top damage. But speaking from the testing and from my own experience, and I'm especially bad with counter attack, I have to admit that, it's just not doable. Okay, for the right bosses and for the right mechanics, yes, run counter attack. Because for me, at least I would say it ups the damage another 5%, I'd say, realistically, when something attacks me. Yeah. So, that's what I wanted to show. The facts and figures where the blessings stand right now for Crusader. Now you know it all. You have the damage percentage. That's because I want to make it comparable no matter what gear. So, okay, skills maxed, blessings maxed. Then that's the order you will have, plus minus 5% or 2% here and there, but it's simulated by an Excel sheet with the perfect rotation, so we should be pretty sure about those numbers right now regarding Crusader Blessings. If we have a 100% uptime, that is, and we all know we don't have 100% uptime most of the time. That's also what I wanted to talk about a little bit. The other blessings like Mark of the Wolf. Is it useless? I don't think so. It's a fun playstyle with spreading the dots. And depending on the boss or what you do, it can be really worthwhile. And it's fun. Now with the buff, the damage isn't that bad. And I think for bosses where you have very low uptime, like the Halloween event boss, for example, that's a prime example to run Fang of the Wolves, where you can keep your bleedings at max stacks and always have excessive bleeds running as well. It does nice damage while you don't have to be on top of the target all the time. That brings me to the next one, to Lionheart. Is Lionheart completely useless? No, I don't think so. It allows for some interesting group play, especially if you already have another Crusader who is running Crescent Moon in your party. Or what's also pretty promising is if you run Lionheart with the guard stance in PvP. That's also fun if your stuff is maxed out. Then we have Valor. Valor, as I said before, is still super strong if you need on-demand burst. It's still pretty much on par with Crescent Moon under realistic circumstances and not simulated circumstances. And then we have Crescent Moon, as said, it's the top dog right now for damage. It's also the one I'm running right now, and it's also the one I'm running because it has the biggest benefits for parties. And I do a lot of the party stuff because that's why I play MMORPGs in the first place, because the head-to-head effect with the 15% more damage done by everybody is really helpful for the whole team. So, Bless Unleashed Adventurers, Crusaders especially, this is your cheat sheet with the blessings, all passives maxed on one slide and all the damage done through serious testing, so you know what does how much damage. And I hope you appreciate the effort, and if you like the cheat sheet approach and stuff like that and content from Mom's Basement in general, please leave a like, subscribe and hit that bell to get notified when further content arrives here at Mom's Basement. And that's it from me for today. That's it from DirtyHotte. And I say goodbye. See you next time here at Mom's Basement.